bear garlic, the ramsons, are now died back, sadly. Sad to see. It's moving on into summer. And it has gone, we had some very cold days, very cold early June, and now suddenly it's high summer. And it is the summer solstice, and that doesn't mean it's the middle of summer. Our climate isn't like that. It is the sun. The nights will be drawing in, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but the summer's just starting. This is the traditional start of summer, though I think summer started a couple of weeks ago for me. And because all the plants were reacting to the changing weather. It was cold at night, but the sun was shining brightly. And things are taking off on the allotment. I'm in Broadtown in Wiltshire, near to Avebury, and it's between Avebury and Wootton Bassett. I'm looking at the Saxon Charter at Cliuæ, which includes this area here, and when it says Cliuæ it means steep slope, and this is quite a steep slope. I'm telling you. I don't know whether you can see very well. It is. I've got to get up there next, and I'm not feeling in the first flush of youth. I was basically looking at where I went a couple of videos ago, which was Berwick. I'm using the old English to remember stuff. Anyway, I'm just along about 1 or 2 parishes along, and I looked for Clyffe Pypard on the. I googled electronic Sawyer Clyffe Pypard, and that would tell me whether or not there's a Saxon charter for that village, and there was. And I did it from scratch, with no help from Grundy, the master of Saxon charters, or Margaret Gelling or anybody like that. Did it from scratch, did a cold reading, and it does match this area quite well, except for the fact that, is that deer? No, it's a stone. Except for the fact that it doesn't just include Clyffe Pypard, it includes Broadtown, and I can prove that because I followed the chart around, and it describes the land really well. So the first thing you would do if you are doing a Saxon charter is to look for rivers. So when it calls, when you see the word broch or burne or streames, anything like that, you can then go to the map and have a look. Is there a boundary? And you'll see that by the dotted line. That'll tell you the parish boundary. Is there a parish boundary that follows a river? And there is here, and it's the Ymer Will in the charter. It talks about going on long streames of the Ymer Will, and that Ymer Will means the boundary spring. And that wouldn't on its own be good enough, but the next position in the charter is the Ymera, which is the boundary of Woodutun-Incha. And Incha, put Incha to the side for a second. That's quite a technical term for a topographic term, anglo-saxon topographic term. But Woodutun, is there anything like Woodutun around here today? And there is. It's Wootton Bassett, which is called Wootton, and normally that would come out 1,000 years ago as being wool farm, or sometimes even something like Wulfric's town, but in this case it's sometimes wood town, and it is in this case. So, and the boundary, a nice straight boundary, suspiciously straight boundary. And so after the streames was the Woodutun-Incha Ymera, and that is the Incha means the dwellers, the followers and people who live in Wudu town. So we can confirm that, and then following it along, it then goes to a place called Tjertenbrock. We got another river. Brock is brook today, and now it took me a while to find it because you had Broadtown parish in the way. But if you include Broadtown parish within the estate of at Cliuæ, then you have a place called Cheddington, a farm called Lesser and Greater, or Lower and Higher. Cheddington. Could have that. The English Place Name Society comes out as Tjeerders Hill, and that's what Tjertenbrock means, is Tjerters Brook. So we know it's to do with that. That boundary goes down Cheddington and then goes to some interesting places. But my point is, what I'm trying to point out to you, is to how to interpret an Anglo-Saxon document. Old English is very close to English when it comes topographically. There's nothing fancy. It's not poetry. It is matter of fact, and you can, tune once you learn a few things, various technical terms. It all comes together for you. So it just took me an hour or so to cold interpret this boundary.